I live in an average English building near the seaside. My name is Benji and I'm 16 years old. I believe in taking care of myself, a strict diet and a rigorous exercise routine. In the morning, if I'm feeling a little bit tired and I didn't get enough sleep, I make myself an all-natural electrolyte drink. In the cold shower, I don't shampoo very often as it may affect my testosterone levels. But if I must, I use an all-natural lavender shower gel.
2,000 years later.
I'm tired. Fuck this, I'll do this tomorrow. Let's be honest. No one needs another morning routine video where the Sigma male entrepreneur, CEO grinds that guy that wakes up at 5 a.m, takes the cold shower, meditates, visualizes, audiobook, reads, fuck knows what else, edge for 5 hours. And so what if I told you this routine that only takes 15 minutes or so will unclog your nose, flip a switch in your brain that makes doing difficult things so much easier, whether it's going on a run in the morning or taking a cold shower. It'll wake up your body and get rid of all the symptoms in the morning that you may have from maybe a bad night of sleep, grogginess, warmth, tired feeling. And so in this video, I'm going to be showing you how exactly this routine is going to make me work in a way that's going to retire my family faster at a younger age and most importantly, save my mum. Oh, and it might actually get you more bitches as well. That's another thing. Now 14-year-old me was a grinder and he woke up every single day at 5 a.m. But he wasn't powered by sleep, he wasn't powered by the normal average people stuff like diet, a good breakfast, fucking Weetabix. He wasn't powered by 8 hours of sleep either. He was powered by 4 hours of sleep, a deep motivation to win, but also a massive amount of caffeine, about like a French press that was probably this big. If I have some clips, I'll show you on camera, but I was fueled by this. I was like a engine that was running on black coffee, as you would probably think, unhealthy for a 14-year-old. And this carried on for a while, for a good solid month or so, I say. You know, every morning I would go downstairs, sit down on that chair, wait for the coffee to boil, and then go back upstairs. But then one day, you know, I just started feeling a little bit sick, as if a little bit of wind could knock me over. But on the other side of the world, in Stanford University of Medicine, comes along a guy that blows up the internet, and his name is Andrew Huberman. And I was intrigued by this, don't get me wrong. I was always a long time proponent of things that get you results fast. It's just a natural tendency of mine to like things that get me that little edge over someone else. Things like, you know, crypto, things like supplements. Him offering these small snippets of practical advice, like looking at the sun, got me intrigued and I delved deep into his channel.
You want to get outside and get as much light energy or photons in your eyes.
But as I dug further, I found something that would change my life forever. You see, that coffee that I was waiting so long for to serve as a cup of warmth for waking up at 5 a.m, it did nothing, and the caffeine didn't even work, because apparently the first 90 minutes of you waking up, you have this cortisol spike and you can't actually take caffeine in for the first 90 minutes. But what you can do is do something called an electrolyte drink, which is basically just lemon water and pink Himalayan salt. And this is supposed to rehydrate you over the entire night. And that's really the only drink that's going to help you with energy in the morning, aside from, you know, staring at the sun. But regardless of all of these scientifically backed tasks in the morning that I should do, I still felt a little bit groggy. Because if you just drink water and look at the sun after waking up and then you go and try and work, you're a little bit agitated. You get angry easy and you're bringing that to your work. Or maybe you're just still tired regardless of standing in the sun. And maybe the sun's made it a little bit worse for you because it's warm and fuzzy. Which leads me to the next step. Now last year I was posting videos very frequently, and these videos were not edited at all like the one you're seeing right now. 1 hour long value with all of the stutters and silent parts cut out, and so it's basically just a 1 hour continuous flow of speech. And I did multiple of those frequently because I was a hard worker. So basically, I guess what you can take away from that is the videos were a waste of time, because I doubt anyone would have actually sat through that 1 hour long video. The problem with it was it actually took me double the time to make these videos. For example, if I condense everything down, I cut out all of the shitty bits, it would end up being 1 hour. But ultimately, the raw clip with no cuts, it would be like 3 hours or so. And this would be because I kept on fucking up, so much to the point that I actually began building a habit of slapping myself whenever I would fuck up in speech. If I was to stutter, I would literally do that. I would hate myself so much that I guess you can see what type of energy that would make me bring to my videos. And so what was the problem? Because this shouldn't happen every single time, right? You know, whenever you wake up in the morning and for some reason you're just feeling a little bit more easily agitated, a little bit groggy, a little bit moody. This is because we all have cortisol. Cortisol to wake us up, and also our body's heat.
Oh, and if you don't know what cortisol is, it's basically just stress. So you know how dopamine is kind of like happiness, adrenaline type of feeling, serotonin's like calm. Cortisol's literally just a stressful feeling.
And so I brought this cortisol that I didn't fully manage, didn't fully get rid of, to my workplace, which made me hate my work. But to this date, I have really only found 2 solutions of getting this cortisol out of your way so that you can work with a clear, focused mind. One is the expensive way, which is preferred by the young millionaire Iman Gaji.
I didn't piss inside once. Never pissed inside. I exclusively pissed outside.
Maybe you've heard this before. It's quite popular in the athlete space. Essentially, it's you taking something hot, going into a sauna, going into steam room, coming out, cold plunge, going back in, and then doing this back and forth. And depending on which temperature you end on, so for example, if you end on hot, you'll be relaxed for the rest of the day. You'll be like a mellow mood. Whereas if you end on cold, you'll be energized.
Spank yourself with branches.
But for most of us, we don't have that luxury, and I guess you can do it the cheap way of turning your shower a little bit hot and then cold and then hot. But how I like to do it, and the most effective method I've experienced to this day, is by doing some ancient, visually weird technique, but physically good exercise, which is a derivative from Qigong, Tai Chi.
Yeah, maybe not that Tai Chi. The Tai Chi we're going to be doing, it's meant for health. How Tai Chi is actually meant to be used. And there's not going to be any fancy movie moves, no flow of the hands, no movie shit. It's all going to be practical and effective. And one of the moves, surprisingly, literally every time I wake up and I do it, unclogs my nose for the rest of the day. It's actually weird. Alright, so here we are in the garden, breathing some fresh air for once, touching some grass, but technically wood, don't quote me on that. And here we are doing some jumps like a boxer does, and this is supposed to relieve tension in the shoulders. And I'll explain everything as we go along at the end, and how all of this is actually viable and how it actually works to benefit your health. This is called heart openers, and it's supposed to stretch your back and your chest and open everything up, open your fucking chakra energy flows or whatever they call it. And this is some swinging thing. Notice how here my muscles are looking like I'm putting a lot of effort into it, but I'm actually completely relaxed. My arms are completely relaxed, and that's a very important thing to do with all of these exercises. This, it looks like I'm doing some fucking swimming move, some butterfly swimming move, but my arms are totally relaxed, or at least I'm trying to relax them the most. This is the other way. This is supposed to clear your fucking energy around you as well. This, I'm not really sure what this is, but once again, notice my breathing and how I'm exhaling every time, and letting the inhale automatically come in. This is where it gets a little bit visually weird, but actually this is the most beneficial part. So if you look at what I'm doing, I'm literally tapping every part of my body, and what I didn't show you here is tapping on the top of the head. You can literally tap anywhere on your body, and this literally makes your blood flow correctly. And especially if you saw back there what I was doing to my lower back, that is the thing, the singular thing that honestly unclogs my nose every morning. I do not know why. It looks weird, but you gotta give it a try. You can tap as hard as you want, but just make sure you're relaxed. Up, so inhale whilst looking up, breathe down. And what I'm doing here is inhaling and holding it, twisting my head around, stretching every part, and then once I feel the urge to breathe again, let it out, and inhale again, then I let it out.
Oh, and sorry about the seagulls. The benefits of this are, at least for me, it unclogs my nose surprisingly, especially when I'm hitting my lower back like that. I think there's a lot of tension there that's hiding, and so when I do that full body tapping, I know it looks weird at first. It doesn't seem as cool as, you know, the cold plunge guy with a bunch of muscles dipping into the cold plunge at 5 a.m. in the morning. It's still dark. He's removing the lid and his ice. He has to break the ice with that. It's not as cool as that, but honestly, I'd say it's probably more effective, and you can do it faster as well. Not to mention, you don't have to like dry yourself after, and you know, all the problems that come with being wet. But yeah, essentially it increases the blood flow, and it somehow manages to flip a switch in my brain to make me more willing to go into the cold, because I'm gonna take a cold shower after all of this, right? Or after all of the steps. That is my last step that you don't have to do at all. I just like to do cold showers, which I find is very, very helpful, especially on cold days. So now, how is this viable? It's viable because I learned it from a guy that used to run the biggest fitness channel on YouTube. And now he's gone deep into like the deeper enlightenment exercises that are more functional, like more mobility and less on the strength-based training. And his name is Mike Chang. Maybe you've seen across all of these self-improvement channels that there's been a trend going on of, you know, sleeping on the floor and its multiple benefits, bone density and your ability to feel the pain, literally collapse on the floor and not feel it, because you've been sleeping on the floor for ages. That trend is also from this guy called Mike Chang.
When we have this natural thing, which is the ground that's actually able to massage our body, now when we have tension in the body, when we have blockages in the body, every single day during our sleep, for those 6, 7, 8 hours, the ground can release the things in our body for us.
And now he specializes in a training that he calls the Flow 60 training. So it's like an all-round training method. And so what I showed you today with the, you know, exercises I did in my back garden, all of that was from the Flow 60 workout. And if you want to go check out more of it, just type in Mike Chang on YouTube, C-H-A-N-G. And secondly, I believe this practice has been used for at least like 3,000 years now. It survived everything, right? It survived fucking illnesses, I don't know, Genghis Khan. For 3,000 years, people have continued to do this practice. And not to mention, you know, all the grandmas in my home country, Malaysia. If you just go to a park, random park somewhere, you see these grandmas that need exercise. They're just doing it there, and it looks super peaceful, and they're all doing it in the fucking sun and shit. And so to me, I think that's pretty viable. And if you can drop your ego and forget that this exercise is done by thousands of grandmas over the world, maybe you'll actually just reap the benefits. And so now our bodies are primed and ready for action, and we're loose, you know, there's no tension in our body anymore. But how about our mind? Don't we want to approach our work with a little bit of gusto, a little bit of fire, a little bit of enthusiasm, which will probably lead to a 25% increase in how fast and how much you get done of work? And so this leads me to step 3. Now Now, it's back when I was reading books consistently every single day at lunch, because at lunch, after a big carb meal, I couldn't really do much demanding work like editing a video or scripting a video. That was off for the day. And so I resorted to reading in the garden, drinking a cup of tea, and spending my time there in the sun with my rabbit. And I remember there was a strange book that taught me about a lot of different ways people see themselves, and it was written by a plastic surgeon. He told me about all of these visualizations and all of these people that went through his surgery and the results they got, their new identities they got. So for example, if someone got a nose surgery, now they're like a 10 out of 10, but before they were 5 out of 10 with a big fat nose. Now they can either become two things. One, stick with the old identity and still be a loser, or they can end up adopting a new identity of a attractive person, of which now they are. And why I'm talking about this is because there was one specific exercise in the book that I found very, very strange. And it was the ability to change your identity through a exercise that only took half an hour or so. And he detailed this to be sitting there for 30 minutes, relaxed, deeply breathing, and you think of the scenario that you fear the most. So for example, if you have a very attractive girl at school and you want to go and approach her, but you're a little bit scared, and maybe you've been thinking about this for a while and you want to do it, you want to start up a conversation with her, or maybe it's a group of friends that you want to get to know more, but you're scared you're going to come off a little bit too needy. And so what do? You stall. But with this visualization exercise, you visualize you succeeding in every encounter. But to make this visualization work, you have to see the details. You have to think about the weather that's around, think about the people that's around, think about the sounds that are going on to make the visualization real. Because it turns out from the book, your nervous system can't actually tell what is real or what is not from your imagination or actual real life.
Oh, and just to prove to you the power of visualizations, a guy called Eddie Hall did a 500 kg deadlift with the power of a vivid visualization of his family being crushed under a car or some shit like that. And I guess another example is, think of your crush, bro, like an interaction being sexual with your crush. Guess what happens, huh? Your dick gets hard.
And so if you put yourself through that scenarios like 10,000 times, of which you program yourself in that visualization to be relaxed, because you're relaxing your body, you're deeply breathing, maybe you're in a hammock or some shit. But here's where it gets a little bit easier. In real life, when you go to actually do it, you don't have to do the exact scenario. You don't have to approach an exact 10. All you have to do is to approach some girl that sort of represents the scenario. It could be a 6 out of 10 instead of a 10 out of 10. And imagine the energy you'll bring to the 10 out of 10 once you've had a few practice runs with the 6 and the 5. And all of this sounds great and really fascinating, magical. But I didn't do it. All I did was a few minutes of visualization because I was a lazy bitch. Until a few months later, I was reading another book, and it was called The Way of the Superior Man. What this book was talking about was the spiritual masculine and feminine dynamic, and how these relationships can work, and how you as the masculine, or maybe you're a feminine man, you can navigate a relationship properly. And I was fascinated by this concept of masculine, feminine, animus, anima. And so Tony Robbins really hit this point for me, because he had this video on his channel of him saving the life of these two couples, making these two couples love each other again from years of hatred and disarray, even to go as far as interviewing them again a few months down the line, just to add as a end screen clip on the video to see how they're doing, and they're still all in love. And it's a phrase that he said that was, exercise your happiness, exercise your mental health like you do your physical body. So like every day we go to the gym and we exercise our bodies to look good, feel good for our health, etc. But why don't we do that for our mental health or our happiness? And so he presented me with this exercise that was called priming. And this was essentially something he did every single morning to supercharge a multi-millionaire, hyper motivational guy that jumps on the stage. If you just look up the statistics, it's actually insane how many calories he burns by jumping on stage for like 14 hours straight.
And he look at somebody, point and go, I own you. No, I own you. No, I own you.
To supercharge that type of guy, to do that every day, to make him work every day, this is the exercise I'm looking for. Priming is very, very simple, and it really only takes a few minutes. One, the first step, so I can't really remember all of these steps, so I'm just gonna legit read from the script here. One is sitting in a place you can relax. So relax everything, but it has to be sitting. And second is deep breaths at first. So take some time to ground yourself for maybe like 30 seconds or so. The next is heart breathing. So simply like put your hand here on the heart and feel the power of your heart, the strength of your heart for 30 seconds. I know this all sounds like woohoo, spiritual hippie shit, but you will never actually know the effects of it until you actually try it. And not to mention to try it fully believing it and not think it's some bullshit. And number 4 is think of things that you are extremely grateful for. So for example, if a girl smiled at you at the gym, no. Bam, something to be grateful about. And remember the tips beforehand. Think of the sound, think of the weather, think of the people clanging the weights, think of the guy that was ego lifting, and then that will make the realization all the more realer. And it says here to do 3 of these things. So it could be a child smile, babies smiling at you, or your mum cooking for you. That's everything to be grateful for. And then finally, number 5 is think of outcomes in your life. And this is personally my favorite, because honestly, this is like the thing that makes it all come together. It's the thing that gives you the feeling, the motivation in your heart. You can literally feel it. There's like a shift of neurochemicals or whatever in your mind that happens on this step. And it's to think of 3 outcomes or goals that you want to achieve and put yourself in a visualization where you've already completed them. So one of mine is, for example, bringing me and my mum back home to renovate my grandmother's old house and make it nice for living again, and maybe take care of my grandmother as well, because in the visualization now I have the financial means to do so. And also another thing would be to think about how it would affect the people around you. So I've done that in the example, my grandmother being real happy, saying something. And if you think of your family members, maybe you want to retire them like me, think of the things they would say, because you know, chances are you know your family members, how they speak, their slang, the way, the tempo of their speech. So just think of them saying what you would like to hear in your head. And so this, along with a quick 5-minute meditation, at least for myself, because I have something called a habit tracker, which is this like multi-grid where you write down your habits and habits you want to incorporate in your life, and you tick them every single day, whether you've done them or not. And meditation's one of them. So I might as well fit this in the morning routine in case I forget about it later on in the day. So meditation, and also personally cold showers as well, because I enjoy that fresh dopamine feeling. Oh, and just as a side tip, you don't have to do this every single time. Maybe you're in a rush, or maybe you're just super not feeling it today. You can substitute it for something else like I do now, which is sprinting in the morning, or specifically jogging for like 30 minutes straight. And I do that as part of a challenge to a friend, like a sort of accountability thing. So if I don't run at 7 a.m. in the morning, my friend gets to do something to me, like for example, give me 5 punches on the side of my arm, or make me ask a girl out that I've never spoken to in my entire life. So now you have my morning routine, and you're going to be really productive with it, I hope. But how's your social life? How's things with the woman? How's things with the men? How's things with cold approaching beautiful woman? How's things with that one girl in your class that maybe you have a crush on? Or maybe are you that silent kid that maybe you're hiding your introvertedness, your insecureness with this cool persona? Maybe you're hiding it with a false confidence. Well, if you are that guy, it's really sad to say, but I was that guy as well. You'll probably enjoy the external validation you get from people from being this cool, silent guy. It's not sustainable in the long run. You can't stay like this forever. You need healthy levels of attraction and just a social connection in general from like everyone around you, because that is like your modern day tribe, right? we humans are social animals, and so the best way to do this, in my humble opinion, from my experience, to get more glances from women, to get more respect from men, first impressions that immediately make people think you're high status. The best way to do this is to achieve a sexy aesthetic body at a young age like this. And if you want to know how to do that in literally just 5 or 7 months, whether you're slightly chubby or skinny now, I will teach you that in a link in the description below.
Or you could choose to click on the video that's on the screen right now on the end screen. Alright, see you there, bro. Thanks for watching.